Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hi, welcome to the Mom Files, Moments of Motherhood podcast, a place where the hard things have room to exist without shame.
If you're a mom, you'll get realistic routines, gentle validation, and encouragement to try new things. We're here to be your village, a judgment-free zone for modern motherhood. Take what fits for you and leave the rest.
We're happy you're here. Let's jump in. Welcome back. I'm Hav.
And I'm Aleea.
Everyone talks about how magical pregnancy would be, so we're going to kind of talk about that and what it feels like and what to expect or not to expect. I'd say once I was pregnant and excitement was settled and I was in the middle of it, for me, I felt honestly conflicted, a little encumbered even, and then of course really, really guilty because of it. We feel pressured to enjoy every moment, but as we've said before, you can be experiencing many different feelings at once, good, bad, a little bit of both. So let's get into feeling guilty for not enjoying pregnancy, why you might feel this way, tips to deal with it, and more. I know I have a lot of feelings about it. I mean, how I can start with my first pregnancy and then Aleea, you talk about yours, and then I can talk about how it's different or whatever. But I know for my first pregnancy, and I talked to Aleea about this a lot, like I always say, Aleea was my go-to. But I was very excited and I was very happy to be pregnant and I wanted my little baby. But I do remember feeling very just like, I will start by saying I didn't have a difficult pregnancy. I was not in pain. Energy was low, but I would honestly, like, as far as like a pregnancy goes, I would say I had like the magical, like, we're good. I didn't have any preeclampsia. I really didn't have any issue or reason, right? Any reason to not love the pregnancy. But I had a lot of conflicting emotions about if this was the right decision for where I was in life. Tony and I had decided that we were ready for a family, but we also, we were young and we wanted to travel and do all these things. And I felt like we were kind of just finally coming into ourselves as adults. So I think that took a big toll on me in when I was pregnant and not just knowing that like my life wasn't my own anymore. And that was the decision that I made from, as ridiculous as it sounds, but from not being able to like drink a beer when you want to drink a beer or eat certain food to knowing like, and it was really big for me. People were very vocal about, Christmas isn't about you anymore. And or like birthdays aren't about you anymore. And that started before baby came. So I think it was really big on me to like, just really like aware that like my life really wasn't my own and the type of mom that I knew that I wanted to be. Like I really was preparing myself to sacrifice a lot. And I've learned a lot about sacrifice and how you don't have to sacrifice your whole self. But when I was pregnant, yeah, it was scary to say the least. To be honest, I literally was like, I don't know who I am. I was just figuring that out. Now I don't get to decide for myself anymore. Nothing is about me. And that's a scary feeling, especially when you're a young adult. So I know for me, I did not enjoy pregnancy. I really didn't. And once she started kicking and I could feel her, there was that like joy of like, I'm having my baby. But it was definitely like, I will say, I didn't not enjoy the pregnancy of like, I'm going to have my baby. I just didn't enjoy being pregnant and like having to come to terms with all of those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because that was like what was really hard for me too, was the idea of the lifestyle changes, especially for me. It was so sudden. We talked about it. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't planning on it anytime soon. So I felt like I really had to grieve and like come to terms with like my life changing right now. And that was really hard for me. But and I did enjoy being pregnant in the sense like it's fun when people acknowledge your pregnancy. And I know some people don't like that, blah, blah, blah. I enjoyed it. I liked when people were like, oh, you're pregnant, you look great, blah, blah, blah. It was nice. It's kind of a fun time. But at the same time, I'm like, and I know you're going through it right now because we were talking about it, but the pain and like just that type of stuff. And I remember feeling like, I know some people get angry. I like wanted to cry a lot. Like things would, like I was very sensitive in that. And so that for me, I just felt like how it also affected my mood and then how I was hurting. That's also why it was hard to enjoy pregnancy because you're like, I want to enjoy this, but I'm also hurting. And I feel like, I can't sleep, I can't move, and that to me was also really difficult.
Yeah,
On
there's
top of it.
so much that goes into it. I was one of the people, the people that were close to me being like, oh, you're pregnant and stuff. It wasn't necessarily like oh, you're pregnant. It was like, we're having a baby, you know?
Mm-hmm.
My God, when's my baby gonna get here? That stuff, I was like, you literally won't even like let me be me, and then my baby can't be my baby. It's our baby. I remember that was hard for me. Now I'll get into this pregnancy in a minute, but like it is very different right now. But or the questions like, what are you gonna do with sleep? What are you gonna? I'm like, I literally am just coming to terms with the fact that I'm growing an alien in my belly right now. Like I'm literally just a growth pod at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I was always bothered feeling like an incubator.
Literally, I was like, there is literally a parasite inside of me.
But then I'm like, it's also kind of cool that there's like a whole human being inside of you.
Right. And I think I got to that once she started kicking and once you could start feeling her and stuff. But before it was just like, at the beginning, I was just like, I'm literally just like, what is it, Kyle XY, where he wakes up in the like the little pod. And I'm like, that's what I am. Like, I'm just a little growth pod.
Especially because early, without the kicking and stuff, you're like, are you sure you're in there? But then for you, you feel like shit and like all of this. So you're like, oh, I can't even tell. And I don't know. It's just such so then it's hard. You're like, I want to enjoy this, but I'm in a lot of uncomfort.
Well, for this pregnancy, for sure. I think that was a big part of the guilt for the first pregnancy, though, is that like when people are like, you're glowing, you're like, aren't you so excited? You're in it. And people that know me know how like motherly I am. So everybody's so excited for me. And I honestly was like, fuck you. Fuck this shit. I don't want to do this. But it was just a very like kind of 180 moment for me where I was like, have I just like been told that I should be a mom, And then having all these women who are pregnant who are like, I love being pregnant and I'm so excited and all this stuff, but I have preeclampsia, but I have to go to the doctor every week. And I'm like, doctor's appointments are fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Sleep wasn't like, it wasn't fun. I'm not saying like I was like running around doing marathons, but I definitely was like, I was walking, I was cleaning, the only thing that I remember, of course, sleep was uncomfortable, but like I was just tired.
Right.
That was like my big like pregnant, other than the emotions. But I think now that I know more about hormones and like all that stuff too, I think that played a big part.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you had, in a sense, like your body felt better with Azzy. So then let's talk now about how you're going, how you're feeling this pregnancy, because I think that's really interesting, actually.
Yeah. No, it is actually really interesting because I will say and I'll say this to backtrack with Azzy's pregnancy, in the second trimester, I felt like body-wise, I felt like a superhero. I was like, I can do anything. Like, I feel great.
I felt really good in the second trimester too.
Yeah, amazing. Come to this baby where I will say this baby was fully planned, like 100% planned. I'm already a mom, so what's going to change with that, right? Didn't really have to go through all that stuff. There's a little bit of like, I'm not just a mom to one kid. I have to like, that's a little bit different, but that's more so like for Azzy, if that makes sense. But this pregnancy, I was sick, really sick up to 16 weeks. I was throwing up every morning. I had neurovirus the week of my birthday, didn't eat or drink or do anything for 3 days, which isn't necessarily connected to pregnancy, but it made it so much worse. I've felt him, I swear. And people are like, oh no. I'm like, I know my body. I felt him since week 13. Like, he is a big baby. And I've had back pain since early second trimester. And now I'm having a lot of like pelvic floor pain. Sleep is extremely uncomfortable. Walking, like getting up in the morning, getting up to pee. My hips crack when I move positions in the middle of the night. Like, I literally have to like lift myself up or like sit all the way up in bed and try to move. Hip pops. I don't know if your pelvis can pop. I think it's popping just a lot. Like, I mean, as he gets up in the morning, I physically can't really pick her up anymore. It's to the point where she's like, Mommy, are you okay this morning? And I'm just like, no, like I can't walk. Like, I need a minute. But I'm like, I feel so good about the pregnancy. Like, I'm like, this is my little baby's coming and I'm so excited. I don't feel any of that and I think it makes a difference because I did get to see almost 4 years of not being pregnant with a kid. So I got to go. I had really rough postpartum, spent a lot of time just kind of being Azzy's pacifier, all the things. And I got to see me come back to myself. Mm-hmm. I think mentally for this baby, I'm just so much more sure of there's things that I'm going to try to do differently and stuff, but I'm not worried about not finding myself. Whether I'm different after this pregnancy or not, I don't really care. I'm not worried about it. Whereas with Azzy, I was am I even going to I am very different, I think, than I was before having Azzy. But I'm very proud of myself and I'm very sure of myself. And I think seeing that and knowing that has made a big difference. But yeah, I would say my mental state is very different, but I'm in a lot of pain. Yeah.
I find that interesting because I think both pregnancies highlight different things. It's you might not enjoy pregnancy for different reasons. The first pregnancy, I was kind of like you, where some of it was mental, but then mine was also kind of like this one for you, where it was also some pain. And that's why. And I did enjoy pregnancy somewhat, but like I said, there was a lot of discomfort and things like that. And so it's interesting to me how the first pregnancy for you was more the changing and things. And this one is more just the discomfort. Because I agree. I feel I'm not pregnant, obviously, but thinking about to me, my fears and the things I'm concerned about are so much different this time around. And I feel way more relaxed. And I do think that is really interesting just because it just shows there can be multiple reasons why you feel certain.
And I will say, I still don't enjoy pregnancy. Even though, just to be very clear,
right. It doesn't matter how it's going.
No. And and I get that question a lot already. And that's a whole nother basket of eggs about how people are already asking me about a third baby. And I'm literally halfway through with this child, baking this one.
Well, yeah, you're let me have this one.
Right. But I am sure that I want 2 children and I don't want to have another one. And honestly, there's a lot that goes into it, but a big decision factor is that I don't want to be pregnant again. I don't. Whether it's the mental, whether it's the physical, even when I had an easy pregnancy is pregnancy. You are going to eventually have hip pain or back pain or can't sleep or give birth. There's so many things.
Right. It's no matter how you work it, you're I'm still not a fan.
Yeah, no, I'm mentally so much more yay about this pregnancy, but I would prefer to never be pregnant again.
Yeah, I get it. It's a doozy. It's so funny because when you were saying that, oh, the thought of being pregnant again, I was watching a show or maybe it was on social media and someone, had 8 kids and I looked at Ty and I was that means they were postpartum 8 times. And that thought alone, I don't know if I that alone is crazy. So then I even think about it's just funny because when I break it down, I'm whoa, right. That was a time for me. And I think about doing it 8 times or even 4 times. I'm wow.
And you can just get into the hormones, the estrogen, the everything that spikes and drops and all that stuff. And after and before and all these things, I was almost going to say if I could have another kid without being pregnant again, I would. But I don't think I would, to be honest. Even having a newborn, which we're talking about pregnancy right now, but there's so much that goes into it. But
And I think that's the thing, though. It's not just, it's all those things. And I also think about that. Right, go on.
No, that was that. It's just, there's so, we we could talk about having a perfect pregnancy where you feel like a superhuman and all this stuff. And I hope that there's women out there that have a beautiful pregnancy and then postpartum is a breeze. And if you please share what you're doing, maybe we can do some more studies on it. But that's a whole nother thing. There's not a lot of studies on pregnancy and that we're getting more and there's more stuff that's coming out and whatever. But the stress that it puts on a woman's body. And I'm telling you, 4 years. And I just started feeling like myself again. And they say it takes 4 years to get your body back. And most women are doing this, every year, every 2 years to have their family that they want, and I love that for them. But I don't think mentally I would have been okay if I did this 2 years ago.
Right. It's just a lot. And I think it's just a reminder that you might feel this way for a lot of reasons and not to overwhelm yourself, especially because, like I said, it can be easy on social media. And you do see women that are like, I love being pregnant. I'm going to do it 1,000,000 times. And you're like, amazing. But sometimes that expectation is just not reality for all of us.
Right. One, and I think there is a part that like goes into, and I will say I have a very high pain tolerance, and I'm not just somebody who says that. I've had people multiple times in my life like be like, if Hav is complaining about something, it's an issue. My dad was like, if she complains, we're taking her to the ER. Like that's, I have doctors who are like, how have you survived with this for so long? Like things like that. So I'm not just over here like, oh, my body, but like, I'm like, I live physically can't walk.
But even, it's like the last one, even if you don't enjoy it for mental reasons, that's okay
Yes.
too. I think we should be allowed to not enjoy pregnancy.
No, absolutely. And that's not, sorry, I just got off on a side tangent. But my thing is, like, I know that the way that you choose to parent and the way that you protect your body and the things that you do for yourself, there are women who might not take it as seriously. And maybe that's why they enjoy it more. Maybe they also aren't enjoying it as much. We recently just found out that somebody that we know is pregnant again, and she wants to have 5 kids. And me and Tony are like, but the way that she parents is very different. And she has a lot more, I won't even say she has a bigger village. She just has people who are willing to like change their lives for her and stuff like that. Not saying that my village wouldn't if I'd asked, but I'm not willing to because it's my child. But like, and that's not to judge anybody. That's just to say like, there's so many things that go into it. And for all I know, she doesn't enjoy pregnancy either. She just wants 5 kids so bad that she's willing to do it 5 times.
I think you make a good point too. We all have different lifestyles, like how we parent's also different. So it's like, it might work for you, but you're really intentional in that that's how you work. And that's okay if other people don't work that way. But you're like, I'm really thinking through my pregnancies and things like that and not going on a whim, which I think is important.
Yeah. And I think that's something like at the beginning, I talked about how I thought that I was going to lose myself and I had to sacrifice everything, and learning that I can be a really good mom and a wife and a good parent and just in general and not sacrifice anything. And I think part of me that is recognizing that I don't enjoy pregnancy and I don't need to feel guilty about it. I can still be a really good mom and I can still take really good care of my unborn child and my born children. And I can, be great. And I can make that decision for myself that I don't need to sacrifice it again. That's okay.
And I think that's a great point, and that leads us right into some tips on dealing with this, because I think what you just said, you can separate pregnancy from parenting. Yeah. Like you cannot enjoy pregnancy, but that doesn't predict how you're going to feel about your kid or how you're going to parent. Like they're very different situations. Like I was very worried about, parenting and stuff. And I'm like, I can promise you pregnancy versus once they're here is a totally different thing. It's a different experience. So yeah, I definitely think that's something to think about.
I think that's something that I as well is because like I said, I've always been a very motherly person, and people have always, I've known lots of nieces and nephews. I knew that I would be like a good parent, but when I felt guilty about sacrificing my body, I started being worried about like, how am I going to be upset about sacrificing things for my child when she gets here? And I am not. I will say like there are things that, of course, like I don't like and I work to change as a parent, and you can talk about that whenever, but like sleep habits and stuff like that, that is a lot of things are about sacrifice, but I totally agree. You do not have to, like those two things don't necessarily coexist. And I think that's part of why I'm mentally just better with this child, because I'm like, I don't want to be pregnant. I don't enjoy this. I want you to get here so that I can be a good mom and not worry about not enjoying pregnancy.
And I think it does help because you have already had a child, because you're a good mom. So you're like, I don't have to enjoy this to know that I'm going to parent you great. Like you clearly love him. You're excited for him to be here. You're just, there's a lot of because a lot of times, it's like we said, we don't like pregnancy not because of them. It's because of other things that are happening, because our body hurts, because we're mentally not prepared, not because of this child. Do you have a podcast and a pile of laundry staring you down? Are you questioning your life choices during nap time or working at midnight with one eye open and 3 tabs running?
Yeah, same. We've lived that chaos. Hey, still live in it. That's why we offer podcast editing and post-production services for the moms who have things to say, but zero time to do all the things. Let us help you get your voice out there without losing your mind, your message, or your weekend.
Think less burnout, more snuggles. Less tech stress, more talking to your audience in peace. Interested? Tap the link in the description to learn more. Plus, we offer free discovery calls, no pressure, just real talk to see if we vibe.
Let's make podcasting easier because you're already doing enough.
And then another thing I think too, and something that helped me was focusing on things that help you feel good. It can be difficult when you are hurting or struggling to not find the good things. So I found that like small wins, like I'd buy my favorite snacks, or if I was craving something and maybe it wasn't the perfect thing to eat, I would still eat it. I'd like to do some, like nice walks or something. And then also just like, taking time. Sometimes I'd take an extra long shower, maybe go swimming if it's in the summer, you have a pool around you. Like there's a lot of things you can do, I think, that can help ease some of the discomfort.
I think that's a great point, and that's something that I also feel less guilty about doing this time around. I remember with Azzy, and then of course you have all the people inputting, right? But when I would eat what I wanted and people thought it was the wrong thing, they'd mention it, and I'd be like, "Oh, am I doing the wrong thing for my baby?" She is brilliant. She has no problems. This baby, I'm taking a nap every day. You can't tell me otherwise. I don't care. Azzy has swim lessons. As soon as I found out I was allowed to get in that pool, I'm in that pool. Less fun things, but that bring like stretching. It hurts at first, but it's so much better. But yeah, I took like my point in that saying, I really agree. I have her birthday cupcakes here. You know what I did before I ate breakfast this morning? I ate a freaking cupcake. You can't tell me that a little dose of what's it called? Like
I always just say sugar. I say it's good for the soul. We all need it.
And I felt like crap today. So you know what I did? I gave myself a cupcake. And that's a really good point. An extra coffee one day is not going to hurt your baby. Sleeping and not working out one day is not going to hurt your baby. You want to eat
anything, it's going to be better because you're doing what your body needs.
Exactly. You want to eat like crap one day, every day, do it. Do it. Go ahead.
Especially if you are someone that you can't keep anything down. If that's the only thing you're going to eat, that's better than not eating anything. I don't care what anyone says. I'm like, you've got to pick your battles. That's why it's your pregnancy, your journey.
Absolutely. And I think a big part of that too is also having people in your corner and focus on people that are in your corner. And I know with like the eating thing, when I went to, he was like, "So are you able to eat?" And I was like, just carbs. Bread and butter. She said, "Go ahead, girl, eat as much bread and butter as you need." And I said, "And I will." Thank you. But there is, if you can do a doula, if you can do a therapist, absolutely do it. If you can't afford that or it just doesn't work for you, having that friend. I know for my first pregnancy, I think almost every episode I say this, but Aleea was like that first pregnancy. I was like, Aleea.
Right back at you.
Literally, I was like, I need to complain and I need somebody to not judge me for complaining. And that was huge for me. Like just knowing that I had somebody that I could be like, no guilt, no shame, no judgment. So I holding on to that and using that and don't feel guilty for like all I do is talk to you about this pregnancy and you're not even thinking about being pregnant, but like I need to tell you.
No, but it's true because when you feel so alone, yes, I know we've talked about feeling alone in the newborn phase, but you can feel really alone in pregnancy too. And I remember just being like, and I know we'll get into it in an episode later too, but I just remember even dealing with like body changes and just all sorts of things that I was like, I need to like talk to you. It's like, I just need someone who gets it because a lot of husbands just don't, at least, because they haven't been through it. Because like I said, I truly didn't understand until I went through it. And so it's just nice when you have. Even if you don't have that in person, if you can find even one person online, and like Hav said, even a therapist, I think that is really important.
There are some really great Facebook groups. I think we've plugged at least one before, but I don't post on them, but I know a lot of women that post that I'm a part of, and just having that camaraderie of realizing like you're not the only one who feels like this. You're not the only one going through this. It's really helpful, like looking for that and just trying not to sit in it alone. If you need that, you need that space as well. Do that. But yeah.
I think it's important to adjust the expectations. It's so easy to think of like this perfect pregnancy narrative and get caught up in it. So definitely remember that it might not all be butterflies. And if you have to, I know we've talked about it before, limit the things that bother you. If there's good groups, great. If there's things that are not adding, then, remove them or just don't go back on them for a while. But yeah, I think that's also important to note.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And in the second pregnancy, I can say I see those groups and I immediately am like, stay away from me. And I think that also goes into, that's with social media, but with family and friends as well. I think there's a lot of pressure that goes into that. And again, I will say with my second pregnancy, I think that there is a big difference in how I react to people. I think with Azzy, I was happy all the time or, wanted to be happy. And when people were like, how's pregnancy? I'd be like, yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Or people being like, you should be happy or whatever. And now, like, nobody could say that I was any kind of anything being pregnant. Like, I was just the most amazing pregnant woman ever. And now I'm sure people have their thoughts and their opinions about me being grumpy. I don't care. Get out of my face. I'm happier for it because if I don't want to talk to you today, I'm not going to talk to you today because I'm tired and I want to lay down and I don't have energy. And that's fine.
And you should be allowed to feel grumpy and tired because guess what? Soon you'll have 2 little babes running, and not that it's not going to be hard, but I'm like, you should catch up on some sleep while you can.
And I will say, even if you don't have children, nobody has any ownership of your time. But
I agree. I used to nap way more before I had kids. Let me tell you what, and no one would have stopped me. So that is a great point.
I'm so thankful I can nap again. I'm sure it'll go out the window when I have a newborn. But yeah.
I think all the time, I'm like, I can't believe I used to just nap during the day. Like, what a life. So if you are kidless and you're listening to this, soak it in.
And don't feel bad about it.
Nope.
But no, seriously, think about limiting those external aggravators, honestly. Yeah. And we're not saying remove people from your life, but if you answer the phone, don't answer the phone. If you feel grumpy one day, you don't have to smile. People are going to say what they're going to say. Somebody told me I was a mean pregnant woman in the first pregnancy, and I literally went around asking, I was like, was I mean? And everybody was like, who said that? Like, I was driving people at 2 a.m. for their birthday, 7-8 months pregnant. Like, no.
And it's also a reminder, sometimes people do just catch us on our bad days. Us being mean one day doesn't mean we're like a mean like you just had a moment. Like, and it happens. So
yeah, just all of that to say, we think that pregnancy is really intense and transformative in a great way, but it can also be difficult. Feeling ambivalent is very normal. Re-experiencing discomfort, fear, frustration does not diminish the bond that you'll have later. Your pregnancies might be very different, and you can feel exactly the same way about all 3, 4, 10 of them.
Yeah, however many you want, and that's your choice.
Absolutely. But yeah, Aleea, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And even to add to that, even if you want no pregnancies, I know that would be weird if you're listening to this if you didn't want kids, but I just want to throw that out there. You also don't have to have kids. But with that, you are allowed to not enjoy pregnancy, and you'll still be an amazing parent. Like, one takeaway that I definitely recommend is to do the small acts of self-care when you can, especially if this is your first pregnancy, because postpartum can be, hard and you might not prioritize yourself. So definitely do it when you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week, we're going to chat all about body changes that no one warned you about. Very fun.
Awful.
All the things. Constipation, wild dreams, sleep problems, and so much more that are very top of mind for me. So please join me back next week.
I look forward to it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for sharing your time with us today. We're so glad you're part of this messy, beautiful village.
If this episode made you laugh, cry, or feel just a little more human, pass it on to a mom friend who needs it too. And hey, if you haven't already, hit subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more moms find the show and gives us a tiny dopamine hit. Let's be real.
Until next week, keep the kids alive and your coffee hot, or at least reheated once.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.